Welcome to ATT Live. Sunday, March 3rd. Listen, my bad last week. Well, not really my bad. It's God's bad. Couldn't, he knocked out the power and the internet. Power came back, internet didn't come back. So between God and Shaw Cable, that's who you got to blame for last week.
Well, you have to build meth laboratories underground now.
Yeah. Dan, I had a question for you.
Sure.
Because I know you love. There's two things that you love. It's
Yeah.
Well, I know you love more than two things.
Okay.
But I'm saying, like, above all else, there's Mountain Dew.
Yeah. Okay.
And then it's like people living in the woods. Right?
Sure.
You just love that.
Yeah. Those are pretty close to, yeah.
Someone sent me, and this is like, I guess it's like from last summer. I don't know how I didn't hear about it because it's so close to me. But in Powell River, British Columbia. Now, little tidbit about Powell River.
Uh-huh.
It's on the mainland of Canada,
Right.
but there is no highway to it. So it's only accessible by ferry from Vancouver Island or two ferries from the mainland.
All right.
So it's like, it's so inland and isolated on the ocean that like, and like set in below the mountain, there's no way to get a road out there.
Okay.
It's in the middle of
How
nowhere.
the fuck do people live there?
I don't know. That's a good question. I think they used to have like pulp, a lot of pulp.
Oh, pulp.
Yeah, I think it was a big pulp mill at one point in time.
All right. Okay.
But they got rid of that. Oh, well, maybe they didn't. But they've still
got rid of the city.
Yeah, they got rid of the pulp.
Oh, okay.
So
it's like I got my orange juice.
This woman named Karina, she goes out into her yard one morning, and lo and behold, there's a dead deer sitting in her yard. Right, and it's not. That's.
Sure.
I mean, you live in rural areas, like it's not the craziest thing to see a dead deer.
No,
right? You're like, oh.
no.
So Karina, she goes, you know what? Like, I've got a game camera. I am going to just kind of drag this carcass off the side, set up my game camera, and just to see if I can catch any cool wildlife photos of what comes. You know, obviously something's going to come and scavenge for, you know, this kind of carcass. And I mean, that's not uncommon. People do that all the time. Or they'll lay down a salt lick in tree cameras, and, you know, there's all sorts of, you know, not always a dead deer, but I mean, that's kind of a unique one, because it's like you throw a salt lick down, you get some deer, you know what I mean?
Sure.
You know, maybe some, but now you're like, I got meat, baby. Like, what's going to come now, right? You're probably thinking bear, like I'm sure they have grizzlies in Powell River, Sasquatch.
Yeah. Whereas, you know, but to attract the Sasquatch, you know, as the world's greatest Sasquatch hunter, Rick Dyer, you have to pee on it first. So, yeah.
Well, I don't know what level of urination the carcass was soaked in for how long. But she drags this out, and that's what she's hoping. She's kind of, you know, they've got wolves, they've got coyotes, all it's mainland, right? So they got all the big predators, cougars, and all that stuff. Now, what if
she's putting this in her backyard? Like, she wants wolves in your backyard?
Like, I'm guessing, I think she has probably a bigger property, is what my guess is, right? Or maybe she lives like back onto like, you know, the forest.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Yeah, okay.
So she sets it up, goes to bed and calls her dad, lets her dad know what she's going to do, and goes ahead and goes to bed for the night. And then the next morning, they come out, you know, the deer's been picked apart, like it's been pulled apart. Something got into it, right? So, old grandpa's like, "Oh, I'll plug in the game camera and you know, see what we got. That'd be cool."
Okay.
So she goes about her day, you know, goes to work, comes home. She sees a bunch of messages on her phone, like, "Give me a call, give me a call, give me a call." It's Grandpa calling. She's like, so she calls and goes, "What's going on?" And she goes, "We got something on the camera." She goes, "Oh, what is it?" And he goes, "People. Naked people."
Get the fuck out. What? Naked people.
Naked people.
Okay.
So after sunset. Because the game cameras have like it logs the time and stuff.
Yeah.
About 10 minutes after sunset, 2 naked women appear from the woods and start feasting on this carcass.
Get the fuck out of here.
Look at this.
Get the fuck out of here.
Scantily clad witches caught munching on deer carcass in bizarre security cam footage. This really happened. It's not a fucking make-believe ad.
Well, how do they know they're witches, first of all?
Well, so I guess leading into it, because I was like, what the fuck? And I guess there's like local legends of like these people who practice witchcraft and live in the woods near Powell River, right? And then these people caught, and if you look, there's some like of the blurry, and like this one is their hands all messed up, and it's like they're disheveled, and he says it looks like they're wearing like a maybe wig, or it's their hair's all really messed up, but they're just naked. And then there's one shot of a man's leg with dress pants and shoes in the back of this.
What?
Right? Isn't that weird?
What? Like, so,
Yes.
okay, so this guy with like dress pants is like, what, he's taking his witches out for a walk or something? Like,
So the cameras that the cameras that caught these women, there's 4 photos. 3 of them, there's one of one woman standing there. She's looking down at it. There's a second one of her, and it looks like she's swiping at it. Then there's 2 of these 2 women hunched over the carcass. And then the last photo is one of the women standing, turning, and there's a man with like dress slacks and dress shoes. You can't see you can't see his body at all. Like he's standing perfectly behind the woman, but all you can see is the slacks and the shoes. Isn't that weird?
Like, what the fuck?
So like people aren't sure if it's like if it was some sort of hoax or prank, but no one's come forward with what this is. And this Karina from Powell River, who forwarded these to the news, and this kind of went viral, I guess, in the summer of 2023, and it kind of people ran wild with it, but there's still no answers. And like she's come forward after and been like, I have nothing to do with it. I just have the photos. Like I have no fucking idea what's going on. She never claimed witches. She never claimed anything. She's just like, all I've ever claimed was I put a deer out there to see what I would come eat it, and like 2 naked women, it looks like, came.
It's
Isn't that weird?
Like if it's a prank, it's like crazy. That's nuts. But it's also like, I mean, I don't know. It's not that hard. I feel like it's not that hard to go viral with like trail cam footage. It's like you can really put anything out there, and if it's like you and like 3 friends, then you'll get away with it. Like, but
yeah, I guess so.
But also weird people living out in the woods. I buy it. I mean, we've talked about it before. We talked about the national parks and places, and it's like out there in the wilderness, where off the grid, people living out there. But I don't know, the photos like I'm pulled up the photos and stuff, and it's like, I mean, those ladies look pretty clean for like living out in the woods.
Well, I mean, it looks it's hard to really tell on the game cam footage. I'll give you that. Like one's in barefoot. See, now that I'm looking at the other one, the other lady that they described might be topless man wearing dress pants.
Topless man wearing dress pants.
Or with long hair.
Oh, maybe.
Right? Now
I
that
mean,
I'm
I've seen the one photo with them, like the one's like crouching there, and then the one's kneeling. It looks like, and they're kind of, but I mean, they're pretty dedicated. They're out there like just munching on that thing, right? Did they say like I mean, she just posted the photos, or the videos were available too? Just the photos. But there were videos, right? Like there's actual video at this trail camera.
I didn't see anything with that. Most trail camera, I've never. I mean, there is expensive game cameras that'll take a couple seconds of footage.
Oh, okay.
But
so
every one I've owned just snaps pictures
picture.
on
Okay.
movement. Yeah. So, I mean, it's a weird thing, but like now, like if you think of, okay, so now just some other thing is like last summer in Campbell River where I live,
right.
there was reports of one of the homeless encampments in the woods. A deer had wandered through, and the people were actually chasing the deer with knives.
Sure.
And like were attacking it.
Okay.
And like it ended up on the street of this like attack on a deer. Right. So then you're like, well, that happened.
Yeah.
That was reported in the news. It had people like, were like, holy, what the fuck is going on? You got like a homeless encampment looking like Lord of the Flies attacking deer, out in the side of the street. And it's like, it's tough times out there, man. Like, would this be?
Well, they're saying that. I'm looking at this one, like this post on, I guess this is from X or whatever, and it's like, witches holding a carcass eating ritual. How do we know it's a ritual? Or
I think that's part of the thing that's they've been like, oh, it's just this has just gone viral. Is that this is
the witches thing? It's like that.
Yeah, the witches.
Maybe that might not even be part of it. It might just be
because
weird people living out in the woods.
Like on the local news where this first came from,
sure.
Like Campbell River Mirror and Powell River, whatever the station. She just says. Like there's no mention of witches. There's actually a side note at the bottom where it's like there's been a long folklore of witches living in the hills, but it just says like 2 naked women possibly caught on trail tram eating deer.
And it's like there's some quotes in here I'm seeing for this article. And it's like she said apparently she wanted to go to the police, like the nurse whoever reported this, so she wanted to go to the police, but her grandpa told her no. He said no because they weren't doing anything illegal technically. Like, I mean, still.
Yeah. Well, and he said, and then she also said, like, you can't really tell from the photos, but the hoof was brought right up to her mouth. I don't know if she was kissing it, smelling it, or eating it, but to touch a decaying carcass makes me feel sick. The amount of bacteria that must have been on there.
That's like, I always freak out just about deer just like having ticks and stuff, and it's just like, deer ticks are gross, and you get Lyme disease, whatever.
They're big, yeah.
And it's like
usually can see them.
But you're still just like messing around with that stuff. Like, I don't know. Like, I guess the deer hadn't been dead that long, I guess. They said that was like right after the deer died.
Well, they found it on the property, so it's like,
it could have been there for a while. Huh?
Could have been there maybe a little while. Yeah, it's still weird though. It's just like you got
these like fucking just like
also,
it's like
weird?
it's like why are they wearing like the one is wearing what looks like just like a loincloth or like a towel or something, and it's like, why don't you just go full naked? Like,
so hold on, look at this one. It's like this picture here. I actually thought when I first looked at this picture, I thought that was her arm that she's reaching down, and it must have caught like a movement and blurred her arm. Now that I'm looking at it again, I'm like, no, that's the hoof she has to her mouth. Right? And she's doing something with it, and both hands are on the hoof. That is so goddamn weird. Like, dude, first off, like a deer that's been sitting and any amount of decay, like the smell is nauseating.
I was just like,
right? So like, it's so weird because now I have friends and stuff who live in Powell River. So now I kind of want to be like, what's going on over there? What's up with these witches?
Well, I'm surprised you said this. This happened like last year, and they haven't. Have they set up the trail cam? Well, I guess it was during summer, so you have to wait till next summer, right? Because that's when the wind. Like naked witches aren't going to be running around in the wintertime. Like, I don't think so. But we'll have to wait until this summer to get more witch footage. Maybe that's when they come out.
Yeah, and I don't know,
those 3 days of summer that Canada gets every year.
Well, and she also got a picture of a bobcat eating the same deer.
Oh.
Right. And
so there's stuff coming out there, and it's just like, I also want to, the whole, like the guy and they said the guy with the dress pants on, like walking around. I'm just out taking my witches for a walk. Like, that's what I feel like that's like. But that is, no, wait, that's even more crazy. Cause then it's like, she's like, I want to go to the police and report this. Like, you don't know if that guy, going reid hard into it, you'd be like, yo, that guy could be like abusing these ladies or something real weird going on. Like, I would just like, I'd like a health check to be like, hey,
I do.
what's going on?
One thing I do know about Powell River is there is some like weird kind of like,
isn't there like I'm sure
I don't want to say cult. I don't want to say cult, but there's like communes. There's like I know of at least one commune there where it's like there's a big property where like this person just kind of brings all sorts of walks of life to live on this property.
Well, there's a bizarre case we'll probably talk about at some point, but it's like that whole like Brother 13, Brother 12? It was like a long time ago, but it was somewhere like in your neck of the woods, like a Canadian cult kind of thing that went on for a while. But
maybe.
Yeah, like that's the whole thing, to be like, I would be surprised, and I would also be like, no, I'm going to go to the police, and because I kind of need to know why this guy is walking around with his. If the guy was naked too, I'd be like, oh, okay, they're just whatever they're doing. But that kind of leads me to some kind of weird.
Duchess and Doobie says a pimp and his witches. I mean, it's a weird thing because someone said in one of the articles is like maybe they were just like weird like spiritual hippies and they were just paying respects, but even like it's still weird. Yeah,
I feel like it's like the whole thing with like nudity, the whole thing with it being like nude and like doing like these rituals and stuff. I feel like sometimes, I don't know. Okay, I'm not fully versed on like Native American rituals, but being like, I feel like they would still wear clothes. Like they'd still wear some type of outfit, like not just walking around naked with this stuff. Because it's just like I don't know. Like, how'd you get out there? You gotta walk through brush and stuff, and it's not like. I mean, even, yeah, it's great to be naked and all, but like you're just walking around like the whole time, like through brush and stuff. I feel like, I don't know. Again, like I'd want to know what's going on, so I would have gone to the police by now, just to be like, hey, or gotten another. I don't know. I guess you don't really you have to go find another deer carcass or something.
I mean, that's really weird. I'm curious to know, like. Like I said, I know some people. I wonder if I wonder if I know some people who are from there and have family that have lived there a long time. So part of me is like, I'm going to throw this name and be like, hey, you guys know this lady? Can we talk? Can we ask her some questions like about this? Because I need to know, is there weird mountain people roaming? But like I said, there is a bit of a commune there. I know that.
Yeah, I would.
A little weird. Of like a person and
I would be like, yes, that's also, yeah, if there's a commune out there and they're having people go out and like rub up against like dead carcasses and stuff, I would kind of want somebody to check on them. I mean, ew. It's just like a health risk, like I feel like at some point. And especially with all the shit that you're like, okay, you got some of these diseases that are like hopping between species and stuff that we've had kind of seen in the last couple of years, and be like, man, like maybe you guys shouldn't be touching dead deer carcasses.
Yeah. It's kind of weird. Anyways, if
those who are patients 0 and 1 for the next zombie deer virus or whatever.
Whenever that fucking deer withering disease jumps to humans, that's
it. That's where it's coming from.
It's starting in Powell River, but luckily they're already isolated.
Yeah, they're super isolated.
Maybe they'll be able to.
We'll just sink the ferry. It's done.
Listen. People always ask, how to support the show? Support the show, Alien Theorists, patreon.com/Alien Theorists, or you can just go to alientheorists.com, hit that support tab, support your boys, support the podcasts, independent podcasts, and you get hundreds and hundreds of hours of access to a bonus material. We got tons of stuff on there for you to check out, and it helps grow the show. What else we got, Dan? I've
been talking about it the last couple of weeks or whatever, but I found it like just the other week. I found this show that apparently started airing in June. Started June last year, but I didn't find it until last week or so. It's called UFO Cowboys. And
you sent me the trailer and it looks fucking phenomenal.
It is. And I was looking up stuff about it just recently, being like, oh man, this show is like, it's so good, because it reminds me very much, and I've talked about it before, my love for the Mountain Monsters reality TV show, where it is a group of hillbillies. They identify as hillbillies. They self-identify as hillbillies, so it's like it's not offensive what I call them. So, a bunch of hillbillies running around hunting cryptids in like the West Virginia / Kentucky area, which is cool, and I unironically love that show. It is a hilariously weird show. If you just go in not expecting, I mean, you're not going to get the giant. You're not going to. Don't go in expecting you're going to be any revelations about finding, Sasquatches that live in West Virginia or various subspecies of Sasquatch.
They're finding as much information. They're finding as much data as our boy Travis Taylor in Skinwalker Ranch right now.
So, but the thing is, I was like, the UFO hunters, the UFO Cowboys, UFO Cowboys show is what I found out. It is the same producers as Mountain Monsters, and that's why when I watched it, I was like, I love this show. I started watching the first episode. I was like, I love this show. Why do I love this show so much? And, I watched it within like the first like 10 minutes or so. And I'm like, this show is hilariously great. And I'm like, it's because it's the Mountain Monsters guys who made it. And I'm like, oh, fuck. Yeah.
Just because I've seen the trailer and then I've seen some pictures. Does the one guy who's 100%, I haven't seen any bit of the show. No. But I can just tell by his look that he's going to be a huge star. That's that like silver fox looking guy with the giant white ponytail and the huge white burly beard.
Oh, yeah.
Please tell me he talks like a prospecter, an old timey prospector.
Oh, yeah.
Does he?
Yeah.
He goes, I reckon
it's amazing.
they're up on the hill somewhere.
They have they pretty much have like the same kind of like group dynamic essentially as Mountain Monsters, because it's like if you have that stuff and it works. So I assume the pitch meeting, like when they were coming up with the idea for this program, were pretty much like, hey, people like Walker Texas Ranger. People also like UFOs. People like Mountain Monsters. Let's put them together and make a TV show about it. And people like, yes, Roku. It's on Roku. So
is it one of those ones where it's like, when people start to question Armageddon, they're like, why didn't they just teach the astronauts how to drill? Is that one of the things where they're like, why didn't we just teach UFO hunters how to ride horses? They're like, it's not as good.
It's so amazing. So it's like the whole premise of the show is basically here. Let's see, I'll pull it up here. Like the premise of the show. Okay. A group of rangers investigate paranormal happenings along the 37th parallel. They are known as the Cowboy Sky. So
please tell me, like they have. Like when you say ranchers, like that's what they are, is ranchers first. Right?
Yeah.
And now they're being taught science to do this stuff. Is that the premise? So, is it the Armageddon present? Like
almost.
Is that what we're happening to Armageddon?
No. These guys have they have I guess they have like an accumulated experience of over like, what is it? They said that they have these guys, they're a group of cowboys that claim an investigative background in over 230 unexplained phenomena cases since 2014. So these guys, okay, UFO Cowboys is not the name of the group. The name of the group these guys belong to are called they're the Cowboy Skywatchers is what their actual group name is.
But you just said they've been involved in 218 unexplained phenomenon.
Investigating,
but they haven't explained anything.
No.
No, they don't. They just don't know.
Well, I don't know. I haven't looked at their report. I just found out that they're the Cowboy Skywatchers, so I haven't dug too far into their entire investigative history of what the conclusions that they've came to. But I also think that most of these cases come from one guy.
That's like us now making a TV show and be like, we've been part of 435.
We've been investigating UFO cases for decades, for 8 years, whatever, for 8 years or whatever.
Yeah,
almost a decade, better part of a decade.
Said exactly what I wanted to say. They're experienced investigators with no explanations.
Oh yeah. Oh my God.
It's like, I'm a detective. I'm a murder detective, and I've been a part of 800 unsolved murders. And you're like, that's a terrible stat.
So it's like, the show.
These guys should be paying us to promote this show.
Really?
Where's Roku at?
I know. Well, it's okay. Look, thankfully it's already been greenlit for a second season. I don't know the second season.
Thank God.
So I started watching like the first couple episodes, and I'm like, It's so funny. So they go out. It's very set up like Mountain Monsters. The formula is very much the same. They go out to some place. They have some guy who's a local says like, "Hey, there's weird stuff going on my ranch."
Does he say it like that, or does he go, "There's some weird stuff happening on my ranch"?
Pretty much, yeah. There's some more weird stuff going on here, and a lot of history here on this here ranch. There's a lot of strange things that go on here. We see a lot of strange, like, pretty much. So, and it's pretty much everything you would expect from a show, UFO Cowboys. So there's no real surprises there, but it's also like, yeah, it's great because you're just like, it's exactly what you imagine that it's gonna be. From like the trailers and stuff, you watch it. It's like it does everything, and I'm like,
what I imagine is they're riding their horses at night, and one of them goes like, "Did you see that light?" And I see it up there too. And he's like, "Oh my, there it is!" And then they all ride their horses up the hill. Like, there it goes, there it goes. What was that?
That's it.
And then it's like, next time on UFO Cowboys,
and then cue the country butt rock, and it's like, bring there now, riding our horses all over this land, and it's just that and it's amazing. It's so great, and they do all the little cuts. They do like, hey, what's that? They do the night vision infrared camera like going through the wheat field, and it's like, what was that? What's that? Yeah. And then one guy trips and falls. They're like, oh my God, what's happening? What's happening?
Oh, buddy, wait till they start getting gigahertz. The
dude, one guy, and they've all got their like Smith and Wessons, like they got their Colt revolvers and stuff. And like,
they're packing too.
One of them does. Oh, it's just like Mountain Monsters. They had their freaking shotguns running around and everything. And I'm pretty sure one of them, like at the thing, they got their Colt revolvers out, and they're like, when they hear the sounds in the wheat fields and stuff. So. But it's also kind of funny because it's like, okay, so they've got
someone says I sound like Stinky Pete.
So it's a UFOs first, right? But then of course you gotta bring in a little bit of like the paranormal stuff. You get a little bit of good. Yeah. So it's like, they have the one guy that you're mentioning. He's kind of like the leader, right? Because he's been around for a long time.
Listen, I'm watching an episode and I pegged that guy's the leader.
Oh yeah.
That guy's gonna have his own spin-off show. By 5 seasons, he's gonna have his own.
And he comes out there and he's like,
it's going to be the lone cowboy, UFO hunter.
I talked to the rancher here, and he says when the sun goes down, that's when the demons come out. And I'm like, he never said that. He never fucking said that. He did not say that.
I talked to the sheriff, and he told me when the sun goes down, Satan himself rises from the haunted well.
Yeah, that barn over there is putting out some real strange energy. Now, I can feel it down in my bones, right? I'm pretty sure, and I'm also pretty sure I heard. I was like, there was one point where I'm pretty sure he said, "I'm quivering like an asshole," and I'm like, wait, what? Like, there's some real.
Hey, listen, I know that hits home for me. I know exactly what he's talking about.
And it's like, okay, I there might be somewhere buried in the credits where it says it's scripted. I'm not sure. I mean, but there are parts where you're just like, wait. I mean, like everything happens in like the first 3 episodes. You're like, okay, they find some weird tracks. They're like, I've never seen tracks like that. And it's like one guy is like 1/16 Cherokee. So he's like, I remember going out and tracking with my uncle. And, but it's like, okay, they have one guy who's like, and their titles are always really funny because you have one guy who's expert survivalist and you have one guy who is tracker, like the tracking expert. And I'm like, aren't those like the same thing? Like, aren't they? I'm sure like all their titles kind of like overlap or whatever. Then you've also got one guy who's former military, but also he's like the science guy, and so he brings in all the tech and stuff. So he's got all like the thermal cameras and all that junk and whatever. And it's just funny having him explain some of this stuff to the guys, where it's like they probably know it. That if you're a rancher, you probably know what some of these tools are. Like what a thermal camera is. Like know what these things are.
Like when we were sitting in front of that TV producer and he's like, pitch us a show. I was like, I didn't know we could pitch shit like this.
Oh yeah.
I didn't know we could be like, how about we're all cowboys and we're gonna hunt UFOs on horseback, and they'd be like, that we could do fucking 8 seasons of that, no problem.
It's amazing, and it's like part of the premise to me is very appealing. It's very good because it takes the Wild West, which is cool, and cowboys and stuff, and you have the UFO stuff and paranormal,
it's cowboys
which
and
is
aliens.
but it's also like the Wild West was a time of like, I mean, if anybody played like Red Dead, was it Redemption, like the first one, and there was like a expansion where you played as like everything was like paranormal zombies and all that shit, and like all of that superstition and stuff that was out there in the Wild West, like that's all like super cool, and I feel like it's not a setting that's not explored enough. But like you have all of that kind of stuff happening these guys kind of like somebody took that and put it like into a reality TV show, and they find crop circles where they're just like out of nowhere, which is really funny because they stumble onto the crop circles. They walk out here and they're like, you know what this is? This is a crop circle. I'm like, you guys have drone footage. You guys have drones like for cameras, like for shots.
You 100% know it's a crop circle.
Like, are you guys like just walking around this valley? You have no idea what's in here. Like you have no idea what's on this property.
Well,
like
what I love about that, because like we know there's not a lot of like legit crop circles anymore. Haven't been for a long time. And because these ones didn't hit the news and we didn't hear about them, I'm going to go ahead and say they were 100% made for this show, which means part of this show is scripted, which I like even more.
Like I said, these shows like Mountain Monsters and this show, it's like if you go in accepting that you're not there for like a credible exploration of the unknown. You're there for just to have fun. And it is like sitting there for like 2 minutes watching them watch this horse that has gotten loose for like the last 3 days. And they're like, oh, she's going to roll. Oh, she's going to roll. If the horse rolls, that's bad. If the horse rolls, that's a roll. That's going to be bad. And then he's rolling. He's rolling.
Someone's asking us if we're talking about Skinwalker Ranch. No, we're talking about UFO Cowboys.
Yeah, different.
It sounds very similar in premise. I still think, dude, I
would rather watch UFO Cowboys than Skinwalker. I'm now like on board with UFO Cowboys as opposed to Skinwalker Ranch. The Skinwalker Ranch is I don't know. They're both pretty fun. I don't know. To me,
I still think maybe I should make it one time. Maybe I should just self-fund it and make it. Maybe I'll do a Kickstarter. I wanted to make a show that's just like it's just like a variety show of someone going and hunting all these things. Like you're going to search for answers, and every episode would start the same. It'd be like, this week I'm gonna go out and find Ogopogo, and it'd be like, I need to talk to an expert. And you go and sit down with this guy's like dressed up like an expert, and it's like, name expert. And he's like, tells him a little bit about Ogopogo, and he's like, what do you need? And he's like, I'd go to this store to get you set up with everything you need. So then it goes to a store and he cuts in and he's like, this is what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to go and find Ogopogo. And this guy at the store is like, well, you probably want a depth sounder. And it's doing the like ching on the thing of all the prices and stuff. And he's like, all right. And it goes out. He's like, I can't afford any of that. So
so when they can't afford the expert stuff and UFO Cowboys, I'm pretty sure what they use is like, we're going to go in cowboy style. I'm pretty sure they said cowboy style at some point, which just means on foot. So it's like they just get off their horses and they like walk around and like look for signs of whatever. They're trying to track this one horse that gets loose. And I mean, it's so amazing. I don't know how to I'm hyping the show, but it's like it is just junk TV that I'm just like, I don't know. It's like, I don't know. It's like Mountain Dew.
Dan, also I wanted to broach the subject with you because someone just brought it up in the chat. They said, yo, Dan is jacked.
Right.
And I didn't go on. I want you to know, Dan, that when you logged in today, I noticed right away that you have crossed the threshold of normal Dan to bro Dan because you've changed your beard style ever so slightly to what a jack guy would do.
Mm. I just got a haircut today. I asked them to trim my beard. That's what they did.
Yeah. No, yeah, sure. Sure you did.
Yeah, no, I told them I would want I want the bro beard haircut.
You're like flexing your traps. You're like trim this bad boy up to fit these traps.
Yeah.
I want that mustache nice and short. Keep it high and tight off the lip. No mice on those shoulders.
Yeah. Well,
Too many traps.
Too many traps. Been working out. Just three times a week. Normal stuff.
I wish I could. like a show like that would be so fun to make.
It's
Just
so,
like-
and it looks like, I mean, these guys are definitely having fun because it's just like they're just riding around on horses. There's a bunch of shots of them riding around on horses and at least one guy on an ATV, just riding around on some property out there in the American West. And then, so they pop up a bunch of these little, like, you know, these little tips or these little like UFO lore tidbits on the screen. They'll be like, oh, there were over so many cattle mutilations, you know, because they come across some carcasses, of course, as you would on a ranch. Usually get dead animals that probably picked apart by witches. I don't know.
Yeah, but how many? Yeah. It's like, we catch so many witches on this trail. The sheriff, I talked to the sheriff, and he said once that sun goes down, the witches come out.
Witches come out. And then, like... So there's one part where they're okay. So they start out and they're like, okay, there's a bunch of weird stuff. They're like, oh, this guy saw some strange lights out there. Heard some huge, tremendous booms out there, and blah blah. So then they start implying that like they find these carcasses out there, that these carcasses have been blown apart, like they've just exploded. And
yeah, it's because all these guys are packing. They're just out there blasting fucking carcasses.
The one guy's like, there's not a tooth mark on any of these bones. It's like they were just blown apart. And they're like, are you what? Are the people out there with like RPGs? Is this Cambodia? They're like blowing apart like cattle with like RPGs or something. Like, oh my God. And then so they're tracking these things and they also have this like the first 3 episodes, so much has happened. And it's like they have this like pervasive something is following them, right? Something is following them. And they're like, you know, what's that sound? It's like, and, you know, they play some sound which probably isn't the actual sound that's being played. It's just they threw it in there or whatever. And they're like, what is this thing or whatever, blah blah blah. It's following us. You hear this sound, da da da. And they find these tracks in a like kind of like a moist riverbed, and they're like, oh, I've seen tracks like this. I've seen turkey tracks like this, but never that big. And I'm like, it's probably an emu. I was like, have you guys never heard of emu farms? You guys are ranchers. Like, you never heard of an emu farm? Like, could be a fucking emu. I don't know. It's just like a big three-toed print. And, it, you know, sure, it could be a lizard man escape or swamp. Who knows? But also could be an emu. I don't know. But yeah, it's just so much stuff packed into like one show. It's just like fun. Just having a great time. Just watching it.
Yeah. Yeah. Someone in the chat, Double Dragons is asking what's going on here. We're talking about the absolutely new hit. It's going to be taken. Forget
second season.
Aliens.
All right, second season.
Forget Skinwalker Ranch.
No.
UFO Cowboys.
UFO Cowboys. That's the new
one. Are you all planning to do some cryptid episodes in the future? Yeah, you know what? Next Sunday we'll do a little featurette. Maybe we'll pick a cryptid and feature cryptid. We're also going to have Imp Hunter on. We kind of missed him this week, but we're gonna have him on next week. And if you wanna jump on a Sunday live with us, or if Sunday doesn't work and you're like, yeah, I would do Saturday, you know, well, if you jump on our Patreon, donate at a tier that gets you on that list, message Dan, we'll make it happen. You might have to wait a week or two, but we'll make it happen.
Get you on the list.
We'll get you on the list. There's a couple people actually watching on X, which we never stream on. So if
amazing,
I don't know. Yeah, the one time we stream on X, there's a couple people watching. So thank you to those of you who are checking that out. Dan, do you have anything else? What else do you have?
Just a lot of fucking weird news that are just like coming across a couple of these things. They had a oh no, this is what I saw in the last. Did you see in the last like it was like couple 2 or 3 weeks ago? It's like scientists have discovered like the new largest snake in the world. Apparently, did you see that? I came across this.
Oh, was that the one that was like picked up on that like goddamn forklift?
Oh, I don't know if it was that one, but it's no. So apparently they found like this species of like green anaconda, right? So green anaconda are the world's heaviest snakes, and probably among the largest. So usually found in like, you know, areas of South America. And so these ones, like originally they thought there were like one species of them, but apparently they've gone in and now they've done like the DNA testing and they've seen that these like the species down there are actually like their like lineage like deviates at like 10 million years or something like that back. Like just like they're two very different species. Like,
cue the "my anaconda don't want none" jokes coming in the chat here.
And it's just like I think they found it while they were doing. There's some, what is it? It's some Will Smith feature nature show that's going to be put out. I guess they were filming footage for it, so there's probably going to be a thing about it in the next like documentary, big documentary, next like Planet Earth thing, talking about the discovery of this specific one. But they've got like they've heard from like the locals, like I guess they had heard from locals of that area that there are these large snakes there. They're like these big ass fucking snakes, and they're like, yeah, we're gonna go check that out. And they found at least like one that they said like, so these things can grow probably about like 7 meters long, weigh up to 250 kilograms. And then they said that they heard anecdotal evidence that some of those snakes can get up to like 7.5 meters, which is like 24 and a half feet. And then 500 kilograms, which is 1,100 pounds, have been sighted in that area. So it's like even bigger ones that they actually found. Like it's fucking huge.
I get two comments that are fucking killing me here. Turd Ferguson said, "Since Dan is jacked, is he caked up?" Oh yeah, baby. Dan has got that dump truck.
I don't skip leg day.
And then Double Dragon said they got to name that snake Jake Roberts. And that's funny because you know what? If I had a snake, I think I would name my snake Snake the Jake.
Snake the Jake.
Yeah, Snake the Jake Roberts. Right? Just reverse it. It's only fitting.
I mean, you could. I guess. Oh, yeah, Snake the Jake. I don't know. Yeah, it's huge ass snake. So it's like, I don't know. It's still, it's pretty fun. Like hearing these discoveries.
You find that
they're still finding huge stuff.
Discoveries. And like that's a big thing to be like, hey, we just found this out.
Yeah, and it's also, I think it's also strange because it was like those snakes, like those two different species of snakes. They've had what's now. What's chat saying?
No, just everyone's going on about your Christmas hams you got going on there. Yeah, Dan does those sass squats.
Sass squats, yeah. I need to get that on his shirt.
Yeah.
Gym of sass squats. Never skip leg day. Gotta get them glutes, you know?
Yeah.
Gotta run down them Sasquatches. How am I gonna do it without
we ain't ready for his jelly. Holy god damn.
Fucking thirstiest chat out there.
Yeah. Holy. When are you starting your only dance? Oh shit. That's funny.
It's like on my only dance, and then scientists will discover the next largest snake.
Yeah, did you hear anything? The rare trouser snake.
Danaconda.
Danaconda. Oh my god. You right before we started this, you were saying I can't make these kind of jokes because I'm known as the reasonable one. You got to get your fucking shit together here. The Danaconda.
I had that one just.
You had that one locked and loaded because that's its name.
I didn't.
Yeah,
I did
right.
not have that one. That was just off the top of my head.
A lot of people in message. Did you? I must have missed something, but like everyone's been messaging like, oh, did you see the Cat Williams interview with Joe Rogan? And I'm like, no. I was like, Cat Williams, like the comic, like the comedian Cat Williams, and I have no idea what his deal is. But then I guess he was like talking about some like all the Hollywood Satanisms or something on Joe Rogan for like a 3-hour podcast. I might have to, maybe I'll have to check it out. I know Zell loves that shit, so I'll have to get on there and see what I'm like, is it like Jim Carrey? Remember when Jim Carrey always does his, like Jim Carrey go on like a weird, like fucking.
Well, he always goes on those like anti-consumer and kind of things. Some of the Jim Carrey stuff is fine. Like I'm like, yeah, I agree with some of his stuff most of the time. And then he goes and does Sonic the Hedgehog 3, and you're like, okay. Does he really believe in the franchise? Is he just like just drove a dump truck of money up to his house and they're like, hey, please play Dr.
There's like
Robotnik.
a clip of Jim Carrey that I keep seeing pop around now. It's like him, and he was dating. I can't remember her name. I want to say like Chelsea something.
Okay.
I don't think it's Handler. I think that's the wrong one. But then he was like, and this is like old. This is like a dated one. And he's not saying he's against vaccinations. But what he's saying, he's like, these healthcare people do not have our best interests anymore. They've been bought. It's all for profit, and parents should be doing their best to educate themselves on what vaccinations they actually need. Like, does your child need a Hep B shot the second day of life? Like, we don't like. And he's just going on, and then people are like, Jim Carrey knew all along. I was like, yeah, Ace Ventura had the fucking upper hand. But he's not wrong. I mean, Jim Carrey's a smart dude. He's a smart guy. But people in the chat are saying Cat Williams was dropping gems. Not gonna lie. I'm gonna have to see. Like, yeah, I don't like. I only know the name Cat Williams as a comedian, but I'm not even familiar with his work, to be honest. Really,
I know he was in. Wasn't Cat Williams? It's the pimp named Slickback. Like, wasn't he in the Boondocks? Was he? Like, was he in the pimp?
Was he in Soul Train? I think he was in Soul. I think he was in Soul Plane. I don't know. Maybe he wasn't.
I don't know.
I've
seen
his voice. Like, if I heard his voice,
I've seen some of his. I've seen some of his stand up, but I remember he was a pimp named Slickback in the Boondocks. He voiced that character, which was hilarious. But yeah, that's as far as I know. And also, like, I'm not a big Joe Rogan guy, so I didn't catch it personally, and I don't think I came across any clips, which is
what's
weird.
with you short guys hating on each other? You guys should be having each other's backs. You short, bald Jack guys, you guys should stick together. You know what? Together, you guys would be unstoppable.
I'd get even more Jack because I've been on a bunch of gear, like just
gear and elk meat. That's your next stop, and then ice baths.
Get my cold shock sauna or whatever.
Yeah. And then what's that Alpha Brain or whatever?
Yeah, when do we? Oh man, we need to start selling our health supplements. When do we start doing that? Or ATT.
Oh, okay, Friday. Someone said Friday after next. Yeah, okay. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I know. I can.
I know he's in
perfectly.
Stuff.
I can picture him perfectly in my head. Like, he's like kind of like a small, like, cat.
He looks like Andre 3000, but like that's what I remember.
Oh yeah. He's exactly who I thought he was. Yeah, this is First Sunday, Norbit. Yeah,
I know who he is, and I know what he looks like, and I'm just like I would recognize him, but I would also
he was not in Soul Plane.
I don't see him.
I thought he was in Soul Plane.
I mean, I don't know. It's like, I guess if he's dropping stuff about Satanism in Hollywood, I'd be like, yeah, okay. Like, I don't know. It's a lot of the stuff that I always hear about that things. It's like, it's all symbolism stuff that's all kind of like ubiquitous. It's all kind of stuff that could be associated with anything, not necessarily just Satanism. Like, also Satan's cool. What are you guys talking about? Like,
yeah.
Hail Satan.
Yeah. What's it? It's Illuminati stuff. Sorry, we're in. You know we never sold out because that's why Spotify dropped us. We wouldn't participate in the rituals, the blood rituals.
Right.
We all didn't want to cut ourselves. We're all too big of pussies. We're like, we're not doing that.
Yeah, we had the robes. We had the robes on and everything, but then when they pulled out the we were like, no.
They were nightfall. We're like, oh, this is real.
Oh no.
And then Brent Hand just fucking sliced his hand open. He didn't even care.
It's just all over the place.
She's like, get out of the way. Yeah, the rest is history. I had one other thing, but I fucking always end up closing the windows. I got sidetracked by your fucking Danaconda.
Many people get sidetracked.
Yeah. Anyways, well, that's we're running out of time here anyway. So, hey, this is ATT Live every Sunday. Pending snowstorms or windstorms that knock out the internet. So we'll be back next Sunday, 6:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And listen, next Sunday we're gonna have
might be Saturday.
It might be Saturday. We'll put an announcement, but most of the time it's gonna be Sundays. And the next one we do, I'm going to open the lines. We're gonna try. I think I have the capabilities. I just had some technical difficulties reconnecting our Restream accounts to everything today. And then, so next week, if you want to call, we're not going to be taking, listen, we don't want your fucking stories. Another fucking lame ass show does that on Thursday nights. But if you want to call and shoot the shit about conspiracies, you got some interesting conspiracy UFO news that you wanted to talk to us.
Yeah.
So you wanted us.
You want to tell us how much you love UFO Cowboys after you watched it.
Yeah. You can call and let us know, and that's going to be 1-833-703-0424. Yes, we share the number with that other show that shall not be named. But we'll do that the next live. I'll let you know when that is immediately. But if you want to support the show, easy ways to do it. We got the super chat. I don't even know if it's working anymore because I fucking disconnected it. And then I saw someone donated, but then nothing changed on the beer fund. So I was like, I don't know if it's working. Everything got wrecked today. We're going to fix that. But we got the paypal.me/Big Theory Productions. That goes immediately to the show. I'm sending Dan some leggings. He's already wearing some. No need. Skin tight. But the best way for us and for you is to go to patreon.com/Alien Theorists Podcast. Jump on the $5 tier is probably the greatest deal on Patreon. You get the most amount of content. You get access to all the live streams. You get access to every bonus show we've ever done, including the first podcast we ever did. What's the meaning of this? Which is unbelievably terrible. But you get access to it and hundreds of hours of bonus stuff. Thank you so much for enjoying the show, and we'll see you next week on live. As we always say at the end of these things, keep those eyes on the skies.